Hey guys, this is Austin, and today I'm here with the top 5 tech failures. So there are a lot of really great gadgets, and there are a lot of not so great gadgets, so let's take a look at some of those. At number 5, we have Windows Vista. This launched in 2007 as one of the biggest overhauls to Windows ever, and it took a whopping 5 years to complete. What finally shipped was a version of Windows which had more than a few issues. So one of the biggest problems with Vista was the fact that a lot of things just flat out didn't work anymore. So printers were a big thing. A lot of printers which worked fine on a Windows XP computer, unless they were lucky enough to be updated to work with Vista, were flat out paperweights. Another was that it was big and bloated. So Windows Vista needed a much more powerful PC to run on than say XP. And just for the record, Windows 8, a 6-year-old newer operating system, actually runs better on older PCs than Vista. So yeah, it was definitely a step backward. To be fair, it wasn't all bad. After about a year or so, Microsoft had a lot of the early issues figured out. However, that didn't stop them from rushing out Windows 7, which was basically just what Vista should have been. At number 4, we have the Google Nexus Q. So this was a weird one. Google announced the Nexus Q last year as a media player, somewhat of a competitor to the Apple TV and the Roku and that sort of thing. However, they already had a competitor in the Google TV. So what exactly was a Nexus Q? Basically, it was a bowling ball shaped media streamer that allowed you to watch YouTube videos as well as listen to music and watch videos from Google Play. And that's about it. You had no Netflix, no Hulu, no way to watch your own files, nothing. Just YouTube and Google Play. And did I mention it cost $300? So I don't think it takes a genius to realize that the Nexus Q never really got off the ground. In fact, Google ended up canceling it before it even came out. And those few people who had pre-ordered the Nexus Q ended up getting them for free, and Google quietly let the whole thing just disappear. At number 3, we have Apple Maps. So to understand this one, put yourself in Apple's shoes. Ever since the iPhone came out, they have been relying on Google to supply Google Maps for the phone. However, as their new arch enemy, they decided that, hey, we should totally be able to make a new Maps app. We can stick it to Google and make something way better. At first, it looked really cool. So they showed off a mode called Flyover, which basically allowed you to fly around cities in a full 3D view, pinch, zoom, all of that stuff. And then it came out and people realized it was a massive downgrade. Compared to the old Google Maps, there was just a lot of stuff that was flat out missing. And to make things even worse, there was no way to downgrade back to using Google Maps as opposed to the new Apple Maps. To make things even worse, some things were just flat out wrong. So one entire town was marked as a hospital, and some landmarks just disappeared straight off the map. The first time I used it, I was meeting a friend for dinner, so I punched in the address into Apple Maps, and it proceeded to send me 20 minutes the wrong way before I realized that it had no idea where I was going. Oops. At number 2, we have the HTC First. After years of rumors that Facebook would be making their own phone, earlier this year they finally did it. Cool, right? Except it kind of wasn't. What they actually released was 2 different things. One was Facebook Home. Now this is something that you could download on your Android phone, and basically it would fully Facebookify it. And then there was the HTC First, which had Facebook Home preloaded. However, that was pretty much all it had going for it. Basically, you had the choice of either downloading a free app from the Google Play Store or buying a phone which did the exact same thing. Clearly a recipe for success. After a month on sale, they had sold a mere 15,000 HTC Firsts. Now to give you some context to that, during that same time, the Samsung Galaxy S4 sold 15,000 phones every hour. AT&T wasted no time in slashing the price of the First down to basically free. Other carriers around the world decided not to carry it, and after only a couple months, the HTC First was pretty much dead. At number 1, we have the Microsoft Xbox One. Guys, what were you thinking? I mean, I get it. The Xbox One was definitely made to be a very forward-thinking console where the discs really weren't as important as everyone doing download only, kind of like how Steam works today. However, the way they actually executed it, the way they talked about it, the way they showed it off, the way they just launched it in general was just an absolute disaster. So first, they show off the console and then immediately spend pretty much the entire rest of the time talking about how it works with TV.
Television, TV, television.
Television, TV.
Then, once they finally showed off some cool games, got some people interested, they then announced that the price would be $500, $100 more than the PlayStation 4. And then they started going on about how used games work, and how you could only trade them in with certain retailers. If you wanted to give a game to a friend, you had to be friends with them on Xbox Live for 30 days. You always had to have Kinect on. It was a bit of a mess. The funny thing is, all this would have probably blown over after a few months, had Sony not got up on stage at E3 and said, "Hey guys, you know all that stuff Microsoft's doing? Yeah, we're not going to be doing that." Immediately, now the Xbox One looks like some horrible travesty of a game console. It's got to always be connected, that you can't use your own games with. It was a nightmare. So how does Microsoft respond? Basically they go, haha, just kidding guys, all that stuff we were talking about, yeah, we're totally not going to do that. It's just going to be like the 360 guys, just, forget all that stuff that we said about, always online and the DRM and the used games. We were just joking, no big deal. Overall, I think the Xbox One will be a solid console now. However, taking a look at that launch definitely makes it a massive, massive disaster, and it takes the #1 spot for the biggest tech failure. So I'm curious to know, what's the biggest tech failure in your opinion? Definitely be sure to let me know in the comments below. Also, I want to mention that this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible.com is a leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, including fiction, nonfiction, and periodicals. I've always loved to read, and lately I've really been enjoying using Audible on my phone in the car, as well as before I go to bed, I'll grab my iPad and listen to a chapter or two. Lately, I've been listening to A Fault in Our Stars by John Green, a fantastic book that I read last year that I've been re-listening to, if that's a word, lately with Audible. If you guys haven't tried Audible yet, all you need to do is go to audible.com/Austin to download The Fault in Our Stars or another book for free when you try Audible. It's an awesome service that I use all the time, so definitely be sure to go to audible.com/Austin and give it a shot. If you're interested in more, feel free to check out what to expect with the new Samsung Galaxy Note 3, and if you enjoyed, definitely be sure to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more like this. Anyway guys, I will catch you next time.